Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to go ahead and call to order the November 14th monthly meeting for the Kansas African American Affairs Commission. Let's start off with our roll call. Stacy.
Okay, Dr. Crystal Davis is not here. Dr. Trent Davis is not here. Angelin Johnson.
Present.
Mark McCormick.
Present.
Jade Ramsdell.
Present.
Okay, so with the number that's present, that means that at this time we do not have quorum. But we do recognize that there may be others who are just delayed in joining, so we will go ahead and move forward with the meeting, but that does mean we are not able to vote on any matters until we have at least one more member,
Crystal.
and we
Yay.
have our one more member.
Here we go.
Okay. Greetings, Commissioner Davis. We were just starting and we were doing roll call, so we can go ahead and capture Executive Director know that we do have Commissioner Davis with us.
Yes. So noted, yes.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, so let's move forward with the approval of the minutes. Because we did not have quorum at our last meeting, we weren't able to approve the September minutes. So we have both the September and October minutes. I am assuming that we all had opportunity to review them. Are there any updates, questions, corrections, or is there a motion to accept the September and October minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Ramsdell, I second.
Okay, minutes have been, it's been moved and seconded. Vote for, join it for approval. Yays, okay, any nays? Okay, September and October minutes are approved. We do not have any members of the public present, so we will move on with the chair's update. The only update that I have at this point is I want to extend a thank you to the commissioners for we started a process a few months back for monthly reports, again, in support of what the commission has required itself to do, which is create a annual report. So an approach to help our executive director in being able to do that. We established a monthly link where commissioners can update their activities to help keep Stacy abreast and help keep track and record of some of our events and activities and engagements to help in preparation for that annual report, which Stacy, is it actually in December that?
Last day by the end of the calendar year. So yes.
Calendar. Okay. So again, everybody has that link, and please feel free to go back. I know prior to starting that process, there were some quarterly reports that had been submitted before. But if there's any activities or any engagements that you've had as a commissioner, please utilize that form to capture that so that we could have a smoother process as we communicate to our executive director our engagements. That link was sent out in anticipation of last week's initial meeting, so it should be I can resend it out. That's helpful, or you can just take a check in your emails and find that and submit your feedback as well, so we can assist our executive director in the completion of the report due in a month. Okay, that's my only update. We'll transition over to our executive director update.
Thank you. Hi. So the Lawrence brunch, I guess it's been a minute now, but the last brunch was the Lawrence brunch that the leadership brunches that we've been doing, and I would say that was a success. Angelin came up, which was nice because Trent was not able to make it over that day. As far as a budget update, I haven't spent any money, so there's no changes. Although I think I sent out the most updated spreadsheet, but there has been no changes because I've spent no money. Commissioner, here's a new pieces of information. Commissioner Westbrook has decided not to re-up his position. And so we do have now 2 spaces that are available. I have already notified the appointments office and we have notified the appointing authorities. But it's important to note that we have no appointing power. I have no appointing power and we have no appointing power. So those two are the ones that are truly out of our hands. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Then the other two things, I don't know, wasn't sure if to put this under update or announcements. The annual governor's annual Martin Luther King March, ceremonial march and proclamation. That actually is even in statute as to what date that's going to happen. That's Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And so I wanted to start getting that on our calendar. This is one event that is truly, it's just KAAC. It's KAAC's thing. I know in years past, Mark has been heavily involved in the planning and helping us find speakers and the whole nine. So has always been participated. I know in the past, Beryl New has sung the Black National Anthem for us. I mean, so there has been KAAC participation, but that date is set. Due to the short runway and the fact that we were having such trouble getting even this meeting to get going, I have to continue to plan it. And so I did find a speaker. It's Sherry Camp. She's a local historian in the Topeka area. And I've already made contact with, now I can't remember if it was Topeka or Topeka West, ROTC, to see if they can come and do the march around the Capitol. Black Legislative Day, also that day has already been set, and that day is pretty tight as February 9th because of the sheer amount of space that we had to reserve in the Capitol. I honestly made those reservations at this point about a month and a half ago, and even at the time, I couldn't get the first date that I wanted because the Capitol is already filling up. So that date is pretty solid because there's no way, I don't think there's going to be a way at this late notice to be able to get the amount of space we potentially might need for the Black Legislative Day. So Monday the 9th is coming. And then I did want to do a retouch on the discussion of the travel compensation guidelines. Because I know there have been questions about the travel compensation guidelines. And what we did, and by we, I mean Irma and I, because KAAC and KAAC, in terms of the external commissions, KAAC and KAAC have the most potential for commissioner travel. And we knew that there's some issues that were coming up. And so she and I met with Kate because when it comes down to travel, that's not a decision that we have. Like there are statutes and guidelines that control how things are done. And it was there's never an issue of if KAAC is doing an event, i.e. when we had our in-person meeting, or when KAAC had the brunches, or when KAAC has the Martin Luther King Day, or when KAAC has the Black Legislative Day. It's very clear that if KAAC is hosting an event and if any commissioner travels, that's not even a question whether or not you can submit. There does become a greater question about almost anything else. And for that, I would refer to the link to the travel policy that has been in every agenda since I have started putting out these agenda. Every agenda has had the link to the travel policy. Moreover, every agenda has had the link to the YouTube video where Dawn came on and talked through the travel policy. And I went back and watched that YouTube video. And I think the biggest takeaway is if you know something's coming, this is one of those situations where you do ask, you ask ahead of time, or you at least alert ahead of time, this is coming, or you at least have to do everything ahead of time. That's the way any of my travel is covered. They ask us to fill out the paperwork 2 weeks in advance to get it approved for me to do any travel. Like it's one of those things where it's a discussion from up front. We did check because at one point it was like, well, just tell them we'll treat them like employees. I'm like, but they're not covered by so example, as an employee, I can get the state car. Does that mean a commissioner can get the state car? And they were like, well, no. I'm like, well, as an employee, I can rent a car. Does that mean a commissioner can rent a car? And they were like, no, it has to be mileage. So just getting all those things clarified and getting it to the point where there's consistency across the commissions. The biggest upshot is if you know something's happened, it's the advance thing. It's the paperwork in advance. That's the thing. I'm on a 2-week clock ahead of time. We did it in this conversation. There was this almost offhanded remark about what the budget will allow. And so I specifically raised the flag of, well, if KAAC's got grant money, can we cover it? What is the budget? What is so do we just travel, make sure we stay below that? All those things. And I think it's the upshot is still going to be anything that's coming up, let us know ahead of time. Because the crazy example, right? The off the cuff example is what happens if there's an NAACP conference in Hawaii. It's an NAACP conference. Let's say it's in Hawaii and KAAC wants to send commissioners. Are we on the hook to pay for that? And it's like, okay, but like then I said, but what if we've got this, if we have an arbitrary numbers, if there's $5,000 in the travel account, can we send two? Because we can send two people for $5,000. So, but the whole upshot is 2 weeks in advance. Just talk everything through 2 weeks in advance. That's the upshot. And yes, so that's it for me. I do have under new business with the KLC grant, there's going to be a lot to talk about that might come back to me.
Okay, before we transition to old business, for the MLK program and then also for Black Legislative Day at the Capitol, those are KAAC events. So just wanted to take a pause and lift and raise and encourage commissioners. If you are available, please plan to come and be present and attend. Part of the conversations that we've been having is really lifting and elevating commissioner presence. And allowing commissioners and encouraging commissioners to be more present and involved and engaged at KAAC events, especially since we are the KAAC commission, but also at other events and things within our respective districts. But absolutely, when it's a KAAC sponsored event, want to encourage as many of us as possible to be in attendance. I am planning to come up for the MLK Day, and of course, we'll be there for Legislative Day. And I'm really looking forward to being able to see my fellow commissioners in person as well if you're available. Okay. For old business, Stacey, you want to touch on our old business?
So voter to voter will be updated once the election is fully certified, right? So if you go back and check right now, and so Lindsay, who runs voter to voter, says that when everything is fully certified, all the numbers are solid, honestly might not be until January when they get access to the data. So we'll have to just keep an eye on it, and I'll keep you updated when I can say, now the voter to voter file is completely updated. It's not right now. And I'm sure they'll let us know because remember, they're doing that whole research project attached to it. So I know they're paying attention. Like independently of what we're doing, they're doing a research project attached to the voter file.
Can I share something to that? So even with that, they are also doing some cold call reach outs too. So I actually got to reach out and had an opportunity to ask a question to get clarification on as they report the numbers and assign the numbers. They shared that what they're counting are the general elections. The primaries aren't a part of that count, which I didn't realize. I thought it was any election if they were tracking it. So just FYI, if you all were looking closely at that or wondering about that, that count shows in the most recent 4 general elections how many our contacts voted in. So that was helpful for me to understand too. And thanks again, Stacey, for connecting us to that and keeping us engaged and involved and updated.
So on old business only because I know it's a discussion that we just have never finished. So I'm like, I don't know when I take stuff off old business if it's never been resolved. So it's just there.
Okay. And then
We need another line that says older business.
Ancient business.
Historic business.
Well, B is relatively new old business, and that's our district town halls. And I don't recall who all was present at our last meeting and who wasn't. So, Stacey, do you want to again remind us of what we were talking about and what we're thinking about moving forward with the district town halls in the spring?
Just that they're a fantastic idea, and I fully support that. And if there's any help that any commissioner needs in doing that, if it's securing locations, if it's right, like I don't just because I don't envision what a town hall might look like. I mean, if you want punch and cookies, or I don't know. Like I think we've never done this in any kind of organized fashion, so I believe that there's space for commissioners to say, this is what I want the town hall to look like.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we do have a limited amount of money, so that if there needs to be some cost incurred in securing a location, or some cost incurred in getting punch and cookies, or if I have a certain amount of post-it note, like I have swag, like post-it notes and pins, but if we start to do these town halls in earnest, and we might need to buy more or different swag, I mean, there's monies available to do that. So, but there's no plan to do that right now. But I think that in the grand scheme of what does CAC do, like this is something that I think CAC should be doing, should have been doing. There's been a call for CAC to do, and so even more so than some of the other things that CAC has been doing. So,
Okay. Mark, you should go ahead.
I hope this is not too off topic, but I have wondered if any of the commissioners have heard from constituents about delays in their SNAP benefits or increases in their personal health insurance. I'd be curious if anyone has, and if that would be a good impetus for actually having a community meeting.
We have not had any direct reach outs, but we know that that is an issue and a concern and a reality for many in our state and nation. And absolutely, and I'm also thinking it'd be helpful just a refresher of how we came to have that the conversation and decision to do town halls in the spring. And again, it ties back into really wanting and needing to activate CAC and the commissioners and activate and increase our engagement in the state and in our respective districts. So this is an opportunity where we had stated that each commissioner for their district could frame, we're calling it a town hall, but maybe it is a community meeting or some other sort of framing, but an opportunity to bring constituents together, that we have leeway to frame what that can look like and what the topic will be. We want it to happen in the spring. Now, part of what we also said is that going back to, we have priorities that we voted on and said that would be our focus for this year. And as we prepare to go into next year, being able to get feedback and buy-in from our constituents on, well, what should our priorities be going into next year? So this is a multi-purposed effort in, one, getting us out into the communities, two, being able to speak to and address and bring resources and address those issues that are most pressing and prevalent. And then three, to also get feedback on what should be our focus, what can be our focus going into our next fiscal year starting July 1st. So setting that context. So with what Commissioner McCormick has lifted, absolutely whatever is happening within our state that's bubbling, what we're hearing from our constituents is absolutely an opportunity to use that as a focus to a topic at our events throughout the state.
I
So
mentioned that knowing full well that the governor insisted on Kansas SNAP benefits being paid, but they were paid late. And when you factor that into the government shutdown, I've heard horror stories about people being evicted, people living in their cars. You know, most of us are a couple of paychecks away, from devastation. And I wondered, actually, there in Wichita, where there's an Air Force base, to what degree the government shutdown has impacted people there. So that's why I raised the issue.
makes sense. Does anyone else have any thoughts or feedback on that issue or in general about the plan to have the town halls?
But one more thing, the Leawood Police Department reached out to me. I'm going to be making 3 presentations to them the first week of December. And what I'm going to try and do is, after those presentations, get them to do some public meetings on what their policies are, and then try to invite folks from Johnson County to go.
Thank you for sharing that. So, Stacy, a quick, just practical question with, since the majority of us on the call are new to the commission, so we've never hosted events in our respective districts, I think it's fair to say. We are tasked with finding location, framing what this event is going to look specifically like, and then reaching out to you for support with if there's a cost for the location or if we need materials. Is there a process for that? What is the process for that as we start to think through and plan? Because it's up to us to plan our dates and our how and the nature of it. But what's the process to connect with you if we need things to be covered or calendar, essentially.
Since this is not something that we've done really as an organized way before, the process is probably yet to be discussed, figured out. If a person, you know, let's just take Dr. Crystal, for example. If Dr. Crystal, because I know she's indicated that she wants to do this. If Dr. Crystal, you say you want to do one in Junction City and you already have a location because it's your community and you're like, I know that my community will come out to XYZ location if we have an event, because you know your community better, then you could just say, hey, Stacy, this is where I think it should be held. If there's a cost incurred with that, then again, we've got this health foundation money that we got to spend down. So I mean, I think there might be an issue of isn't it? I can't imagine that you're going to pick some place where it's going to cost $5,000 just to hold an event. So, but I'm trusting that you'll be judicious with locations. And so then it would just be an issue of us figuring out how to pay that. I know the way KAAC pays things, it's invoicing. So it's getting people into the system so that they can pay an invoice. Not a difficult process, but it's just a process. And just like it took a little while for when we did all the payment for travel when you guys came into Topeka, not a difficult process, just a little bit of a process. And then so if Dr. Crystal were to say, the Junction City Opera House is where I want to have it, and then I think it might be, we have to work it out. Does Dr. Crystal reach out to the Opera House, or do I reach out to the Opera House and say, we're going to have this event? And then, if Dr. Crystal says, I want some cookies and some punch, then it's at that point, it becomes an issue. Just make sure you get receipts, or it may be that because I can get a hold of a purchasing card, right? That I walk across the street and get a purchasing card. And so I can go purchase the things. That way we don't have to worry about the follow-up paperwork of reimbursements and all that stuff. So it honestly might just be easy if there's any kind of cost incurred that I know I go by it. Like Dr. Crystal says, I'm going to need 3 dozen cookies and 5 gallons of punch, or I would like to do some brownies, or I would like to, I don't know, fill in the blank. And then I would go get the stuff with the purchasing card, because I have to go get the purchasing card. That way I have all the receipts already. Like there's a certain amount of, it's easier if I move the money just because there's one less set of paperwork. And then that would be it. I think if it's a location where none of us live, like I'm going to arbitrarily say Hayes, right? And maybe we're not familiar with that community, but we want to go into Hayes, then it might be all hands on deck, or it might be me. If Dr. Crystal said I want to do something in Hayes, it might be me starting to figure out, well, who do I know in Hayes? How can I get to Hayes? What's going on in Hayes? Hang on a second, or maybe I send Alvaro to say, go find what's going on in Hayes. Like I've got some help. Does that make sense? Like, I think it's one of those things where there is no procedure right now because we've never done it. The one time that we've had a town hall in the Wichita area, it was me. I found, well, no, I'm pretty sure Mark must have helped because it was at that, with,
At
I
the
can
church.
see your face. Yes. I'm sure Mark, but that's because I live in Olathe, so I rely on who knows the locale best. Mark was like, this is the location to have it. It's in the community. We know people will come. And it was, it was successful.
Okay. Alvaro?
So I just had a quick comment and question. Beginning with my comment, essentially, I don't want to discourage anyone from if they want to look for a location, especially as Stacy said, we have a grant to expend out. One of the comments that I heard in the KAAC meeting in relation to setting up different meetings was to try to pick a community location, such as the local public library, because that does incentivize more community outreach. So that was one comment I wanted to point out there. Again, I don't want to discourage someone if they know, as in Junction City, the perfect prime location where more folks would go. But I did want to just mention that. And my second point or question is for Mark. Commissioner McCormick, if something like the imminent, the current status with the SNAP benefits, if we are trying to set a timeline for in the spring, would that change things if we wait that long with who knows what the political climate will be, whether that will be resolved, and whether that's something that's more imminent that we'd like to possibly do before the springtime? And
Well,
whether you in particular were hoping to do that.
well, What I was more concerned about is whether or not our respective constituents were feeling this pain and not knowing where to turn. And I also wondered if they were reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm drowning, I need help. It was much less about what we would do as a commission and much more about I wondered if we were fielding any of those concerns or requests. Am I answering your question?
Essentially, yeah. I didn't know if you were trying to host it yourself and whether we would be willing to have KAAC come up to your district and help
Well,
in
that
that
would
sense.
depend. That would depend on the degree to which people were reaching out to me about the need there. And I put out feelers, and I think my county in particular would be much less likely to have a lot of those issues, with it being Johnson County. But I did wonder if others were hearing. And then to your first point, I would endorse that. Public libraries, churches. I know that there are a lot of churches in Wichita that would host, and I'm guessing that there are a lot up here that would host. So I would endorse your idea there as well.
I hear multiple things. I think Alvaro, what you've raised, and I want to reiterate too, is timing. Though we frame this as something in the spring, if there are opportunities to host something sooner, I don't think the commissioners are prohibited in doing that. The purpose and the core and the intent is for us to be able to host and hold an event and have access to our constituents to get feedback, and also to build rapport and to advance and lift KAAC and the commissions and commissioners' efforts to engage more. So with that in mind, what came to mind when you raised your point, Alvaro, is to say, I'm not opposed to if there's something happening now and we could coordinate something now to meet that objective, then that's fine. But we definitely by the spring want to have at least one in each district. And then specific to the Wichita area and with being the most populous area in the state and having a base as well. I'd say for me, it's still not widely known that I am the commissioner here. So people aren't reaching out to me to share specific concerns. And even so, um, I still have the sentiment that people really don't know and understand what we do to do that. So I'm not sure how many commissioners get that sort of direct reach out, specifically for the new ones, or maybe that's just my experience. But we want to be able to build to that point where we are seen and viewed and contacted as advocates that can help direct. I wonder too, Stacy. I know you shared you get a lot of random in the general email. Are you getting any kind of direct questions or requests tied to what's happening with the government shutdown? Okay.
I had one more thought about the question. You might remember that before the SNAP benefits were held, they were cut by billions of dollars. So just because the SNAP benefits went out, that does not mean that they're sufficient. And that there was also an attempt to withhold those SNAP benefits. A request went to the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, about withholding those. So I think this issue will still be in play in the spring. Frankly, I think there'll be more attempts to get rid of it and more attempts to keep those what do they call them for our healthcare in the marketplace? You know what I mean?
Subsidies?
The subsidies?
The subsidies. Thank you. There'll be more attempt to block those subsidies. So all these issues will still be in play, and I'm guessing that by then, if we're not hearing anything, we'll hear a hue and cry about that as we reach spring.
I'm also curious to know whether the dilemma exists and that we haven't heard that communication because of, I don't know if folks are embarrassed to mention that they're on these benefits and whether them losing them has any psychological play into whether they feel that such a commission could really do anything for them.
That was precisely my fear.
Mhm.
I think also as we go into the spring, another topic that's going to be raised back up is the redistricting. We know that there were the current efforts that did not garner enough votes, but what I'm seeing and hearing is that it's just that the timing, but there will be another effort. So that absolutely impacts one of our priority areas. It absolutely impacts the population we're looking at. And come spring, come first of the year, when the legislator is back, that's going to be another issue. Um, so what I'm thinking is, as we're having these conversations, we're capturing just some initial sentiments. I think it's important that we do have some universal shared framing of purpose for the event, for all of our events, as well as those geographical nuances and areas of focus that are maybe unique to our respective districts, but that there are some core foundational expectations of outcomes when we engage. Again, and what I can do, and Stacey, I can work with you as we capture the minutes and notes from this, is put in just some basic framing and encourage everyone to start thinking through what are we going to do in our respective districts and start to get those things scheduled, and working with Stacey to do so. But that core framing of purpose, that we want to give opportunity to gain feedback of what are we going to focus in on as a commission next year, but also we want to be able to touch on those key issues that are tied to our current year priority areas, which we talked about being civic engagement, so how we phrase civic engagement and economic development, and boards and commissions, and increasing membership. So we want to always include that in our efforts to reach out, as well as those things that are happening. So in the minutes, we'll have some key framing about what are those core foundational things we want to make sure we have, as well as an encouragement to begin to schedule these. Any other thoughts or contexts regarding the district town halls? Okay, let's go into our new business. So the proposed bylaw changes. So you all received a recommendation for an update to the bylaws, specifically tied to the date of our, let me pull it up too. Oh, thank you, Stacy.
I have the blue. I don't have it in blue. Your email was in blue. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, there it's not substantial, but really just putting some more specifics with a date for I believe it was the date for the elections, just changing some of the language. Um, so per the bylaws, it requires notification of any changes to the bylaws, and then a vote by the commission to accept those bylaws. Um, I don't recall exactly where the specific language was actually in blue, but that's this what was updated. We're now saying that in June is when we will do our elections. We stated before that we would have annual elections, but it didn't specify when. We just added language that specifies when, and that it would be at the June meeting, the last meeting of the fiscal year. Other than
That
that,
statue is missing a T at the end.
Yeah, here we go.
okay.
I'll have to go through. Okay, yeah, I'll go back and check the.
Thank you for that editor's eye, Commissioner McCormick.
My eyes are growing old, so
But it
I was
caught
lucky,
that.
I was lucky I caught that.
So are there any questions or concerns, or is there a motion to go ahead and accept what has been presented to the commission with the
So
change
moved.
that was just made? Is
So
there a
moved.
second?
Good job.
And I will check to make sure that that Grammarly is happy. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I heard it so moved. Is there a second?
A second. This is Commissioner Ramsdell.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, bylaws have been updated. Okay, I just lost the agenda. Give me 1 second to pull it back up. There we go. Okay, so we also needed to discuss our KLC application for the KLC Leadership Grant. Thank you, Stacy, for your work in bringing this to our attention, the opportunity to our attention, and submitting the response, as well as sitting in on and then letting us know that we were selected and awarded, and also sitting in on the meeting for recipients. I'll turn it over to you for any updates on what happens next.
So clarity, because I think I originally emailed out that we have 20 spots. We actually have 20 spots for 2 classes for a total of 40 spots. Does that make sense? The
Yes.
KLC path involves a total of 4 separate classes. Because KLC has not officially been involved with KAAC, we are considered like an entry-level organization. And of their 4 categories, we are considered the learners, which is the first one, which means that they only allotted us spots for the when everyone leads, which is considered step 1, 20 spots for when everyone leads, and 20 spots for your leadership edge, and no spots for the third thing. If we continue to every year reapply and get spaces, then they would sort of, it's like, I don't know, incentive for people to continue on, they give spots for the later classes. KLC has stressed that if we are not going to use all 20 spaces for each class, like all 40 spaces, that's fine. Just make sure that we let them know, because those spaces are indeed seats in the room. And if we're not going to use them, they will give them to someone else. So we should probably have a discussion for how we are planning on allotting those classes. I know that we had talked about this notion of purchasing books or not purchasing books. So, I mean, I think that needs to be figured out in terms of, are we just purchasing books for commissioners, or are we purchasing books for whoever? And additionally, and this was brought up in the onboarding call, and there was much discussion about there is a $5 materials fee that is a new thing. The way that it was explained is that before, if anyone's taken a class at the Leadership Center, one was expected to purchase the book for that class, you know, I've got mine, right, from one of the books. So you're expected to purchase a book. And then when you get there, there was like a 3-ring binder type of like bound packet that they would give you. And that was $15. But in that packet thing that they would give you for $15, it had all the worksheets for all the classes. So even if you were only there for one class, you had everything for all the classes. That book was updated every so often. The long story short is that they decided that rather than charging people $15 for that packet of thing that may not be always up to date, and some people might have the one from 3 years ago and blah, 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 that they're just going to say there's a $5 material fee that is paid. And then when a person walks in the door, then they give them whichever the packet is that's necessary for that day. Now, many organizations, including myself, I was like, okay, can we pay that $5 material fee? Right. And so I don't think they were prepared for the number of organizations saying, well, can we cover the $5 material fee? I have contacted them and they are like, we will work it out. So whatever code we have will also include the $5 material fee. It's not clear. We just need to figure that out. So the discussion, I think, for the group is how many slots of books are we prepared to cover, right? If it's just the commissioners, and I would pitch myself and our own staff as well, to go through that. Or are we doing all 20? What are we doing? Yes, registration is currently open. And let me finish the sentence. I have the code. They got it today, like maybe an hour ago. We could start enrolling even today. I do have the access code. They just got it to me today. The slide deck from yesterday's orientation, she said, will come out next week. So all this information in the slide deck, I can distribute that when it is sent to us. She has not sent it out yet. That's my full update.
Thank you, Stacy. Commissioner McCormick?
I just had a question about it may be true that this organization is probably new to KLC. I'm guessing some of us, if not most of us, have already been through a KLC program. Like I've been a consultant and writer there for 15 years.
So
Um,
maybe you don't need to go through it.
exactly, but I'm thinking that others have already been through those programs, and I'm wondering if that's the case, the entry level classes aren't really going to help us.
Well, that came up. Like, for example, I went through the classes, but I went through the classes like in 2021. And they said, as you might know, they have updated the material, they've changed the material. This is part of the reason why they've stopped even that whole booklet of stuff that they normally would give out. That's part of the reason why they stopped that, because they're like, some of this material is being updated and changed. They're revamping things because that question was raised in the onboarding. Let's say I've already taken step one. Do I have to go take step one again, or can I go to step three, or da 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 da? And effectively, here's the general knowledge, and hopefully this will be in the slide deck. Yes, if you've taken a class before, you've taken a class before. If you haven't taken it, excuse me, within the last 3 years, they're like, start at step one again. You don't have to, not required at all. Not at
Just,
all required.
I was just curious.
Yeah. So if we've all taken step one and we all decide we want to just take step two, that's fine. That would just free up those spaces in step one.
Thank you for raising
Nothing
that.
anymore. Yeah.
Thank you for raising that, Mark, and I get it because I did too, but it's been a while. And it's been a while, so I'm open to redoing it. And it was a twofold thought in applying for it, and if we were awarded, what it could be used for. Definitely for allowing the commissioners and Stacy, if she were interested, to be able to do the trainings, but also an opportunity to offer it to constituents across the state.
Yeah.
So the last conversation that we had on it, Commissioner Davis said that he would work with me, but we haven't had a chance to connect to frame out, well, what does that distribution look like? And one of the recommendations that was made from the commission was that we would each commissioner would get an allotment to disperse within our district. At least this was an idea, to disperse within our district. And then we being Commissioner Trent Davis and myself, we're going to craft and frame some sort of process to share of what that can look like. But that hasn't yet happened. And I felt it would be helpful to go to the initial training to hear, well, wait, first, this is what happened. We hadn't been awarded. So we're like, we want to go through all this work and we might not be awarded, but now we know we've been awarded. So, and now we also have the context of having gone to the training to get more direct information about how this is to go, where I can reach back out to Commissioner Trent Davis and anyone else who's willing to put an eye and think through the process of distribution based on what we've discussed before, as far as how to encourage others, as well as ourselves, to be able to participate. And that's a fair question, and a good gauge that we didn't ask is who wants to participate and perhaps refresh or take it perhaps for the first time. If you click on the link, and I could put the link in the chat if you all don't have it readily available, it shows the dates and locations. So I can add that.
I think it's a terrific idea to give some of our constituents access to it, people who wouldn't ordinarily have access to it. I think that's a great idea.
Okay. So what, and actually let me put the main link versus going into each individual class. This will take you to all three. So I mean, I'm still willing to do that and connect with Commissioner Trent Davis to put together a framing for what that can look like for our review. Stacy, do we have a deadline by when we need to have a number to them of how many seats we're going to have? I know as soon as possible, but is there a specific date that they've given us and when we need to register by?
And no. And because registrations are open now, and if you guys are clicking on that link, you'll see that there are classes that start as soon as March, and there are some that are as late as September. So I don't believe there's any specific time where it's like you have to have all your registration spots used up, because obviously these times are several times throughout the year. They are in different locations. Like, for example, they're offering some trainings in the Kansas City metro area, and there's even one of the level 1 trainings that's out closer, a little further west. And some of the trainings are online. They also, if you are looking at the dates, specifically have bunched them. So like step 1 will be on like the 14th and step 2 is on the 15th and 16th, those arbitrary numbers, but they've put them specifically together. I imagine so if someone is traveling into the Wichita area to take it, they don't have to make 2 trips. They can just, take 3 days and get everything knocked out. So there, because there's so much flexibility in when they are offered, I'm sure there's flexibility in when people can sign up. Like I said, we just got the code today. We could sign up today. I think there's no deadline to my knowledge. That I don't remember there being a deadline, but I think that if it's obvious we're not going to use those spots, then we should probably hand them back. And I imagine by like if by June it's like we can't find 20 people or whatever, we could say we'll give them back for the sake of the September and the later trainings. But we have a lot of time. I believe the registration is closed like 2 weeks ahead of time. So it's not like we can wait up till the absolute day, but there's room.
Okay. So what I would recommend is, if you are willing to give till next month's meeting, I'll again reach out to Commissioner Trent Davis, and then again, anyone else who's interested in helping to kind of frame what this can look like, to craft a recommendation and approach for how we disseminate within our respective districts the number of spots that we have. And then if we can present that at our next meeting in December. And then if any of us are already aware and know that we want to participate and are ready, if Stacy could go ahead and release those codes. And a part of the update that will be crafted is that whole question about the $5 materials fee and what we would cover. We could put some framing to what that can be for a joint decision at our next meeting.
Right.
How does that sound?
I think in a previous meeting, it was this idea that we would be willing, we CAAC out of the CAAC money, not out of the state general fund budget, but out of the CAAC money to cover the books for for people on this screen to cover the books. But if we were, there's that discussion of, do we want to buy, now there's opportunities to buy books in bulk. So it's more of a decision of what do you want to do? How many books do you want to buy? Because again, if it's CAC money that's covering it, invoicing per previous conversation, it's easier for me to buy the books because it's going to be CAC money that's buying the books. So do I buy 9 books or do I buy 40 books? And then I think there's also the question of if everyone's skipping the yellow book, do I buy green books? Right? Because the green book is for the second class. So I guess there is still a discussion in terms of, keep that in mind when you talk to Trent. It might be how many books, whose books, what books.
Stacy, what is your thought? Because I'm also aware, and also from when I did do this before, like anything, dates fill up. And like what you just said, I see even here in Wichita, there is that 3-day window where I can do all 3 at one time, but I know that's ideal. So it's going to fill up fast. So what is your thought on, for the commissioners, if we are clear and are ready to go ahead and move forward and commit and sign up for our dates, us being able to do that immediately as we still flesh out what it looks like for our offer to the general public? So in short, can the commissioners go ahead and we move forward with securing our ideal dates, and then the costs associated with that, go ahead and get our books, and then we still have some more time to flesh out how we're going to make this publicly available? Can we do that?
I feel comfortable being able to do that from a money standpoint. If I know, and I honestly, at this point, I think I would be assuming that the number is 9. I'm going to assume at some point we're going to have 7 commissioners, right? I'm working on the fully staffed. So if it's 7 commissioners and 2 staff, I will move everything forward for the sake of 9 people. I will buy, and I'm seeing Crystal pull her book out. Maybe I don't need to buy, do any of us have these books? Because that'll, I'm down to buying 7 yellows and 9 greens. Mark, do you have these books?
I'll do them.
Because that's an easy, it's an easy thing for me to just buy the books and indicate with Camille, who's the contact person, the grant person, I could even tell her I'm going to cover the material cost for these 9 people, especially if you know what I mean. Like what they stress, because there was so much question over the $5 materials fee. So many organizations were like, you know, we're a large organization or we're a small organization. And so I think they're just like, we'll work it out individually.
Okay, so with that, I would like to recommend, I don't think it needs well, money's being spent, so we do need to vote. A motion for Stacy to move forward with securing the, let me think, is there a motion? Actually, I don't know if I can make the motion. It really should come from someone else. A motion to allow for Stacy to move forward with securing spots for commissioners and also securing the book and material fees for the number for commissioners, so we can go ahead and begin registering for the trainings.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so it was approved. We will move forward with securing spots for the commissioners.
And I want to clarify. I'm buying books. I'm not actually registering you guys, right? Is that what?
Right, because you'll give us the code, and we
Right.
can register ourselves with the code.
Yes. But I will,
Okay.
I will secure books. I will secure yellow and green books. I'll just secure both for the sake of the commission and staff.
Okay. Okay.
If you could, unless like Mark, if you can tell me within the next couple of days, to figure out, like, I know I don't need, okay, Dr. Crystal doesn't need either book. So if you know you have one of the books, let me know and I won't buy it.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So I will
Okay.
secure the books and I will make sure that we can cover material fees for the commission and staff, and then everyone else will be on their own, unless you decide that they're not. Like, I think that was the question. Or
Yeah.
who
We'll frame that in the follow-up for next month's meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Stacy. Okay, commission involvement, MLK and Black Legislative Day.
Yeah. I think you just covered that. I was running out of time, and so I found somebody. But yes, if people can come, that'd be great. The next big thing is Black Legislative Day. It is not planned. The date is set, but it is not planned. So my biggest question, I will say, I can very confidently say that there's going to be a shift and that KAAC is taking over this event. KAAC is taking over this event, which means that KAAC, I would ask for KAAC to be heavily involved in both the planning and the execution. In years past, it's been a large event. Have you guys been to, like, Crystal, have you been to Black Legislative Day in the past? Jade, have you been to Black Legislative Day in the past? Okay. So in the last couple of years, this event has gotten larger. Every year it gets larger. And it's large, it's large now, and we expect it to be large. But with KAAC taking over, my biggest concern has just been not even necessarily the planning, because let's face it, y'all, I could plan this thing in my sleep right now. I've planned, this will be my fourth one. It's execution. I need to know who will be available to actually get anything accomplished. Now, I've already started a lot of that execution stuff. I've reached out to the Links. I've reached out to the Zetas. I've reached out to the Alpha Phi Alphas here in town. As far as getting people who can volunteer, there are people who are already lined up to help out with the registration. I mean, so because this is such a large event, I had to start planning, because I ain't trying to do this planning in December. And when the legislative session starts in January, all bets are going to be off. And so if in my mind, I would have liked to have had this thing planned by now, but that didn't happen. So I need to know, honestly, I need to know who is available to help execute any plan, whatever the plan is. Then we can figure out how large the plan is, right?
Commissioner Ramsdell here. I am more than happy to do whatever we need to get things done, whether that be day of. I will be available day of, but even beforehand, Stacy, just please let me know. Give me an assignment or tell me to run with something, and we got you covered.
Okay. We lost Mark, which means we've lost. I'm glad he voted on giving me I can move forward and buy the books. But we've lost Mark, which means we've lost quorum. Let me make note, 2:30. Okay. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, so because at this point, all I have is the space. I have the space and I have the day. And I have lots of ideas, but I wasn't gonna, I can't move forward with an idea without knowing how much help I have. So, and this is one of those things that I would suggest even that we will need more planning. We will not be able to just meet in December and January. Like we are going to have to meet more frequently, just because I have done this a couple times and it's a big undertaking. It's not something that can be accomplished only having a 2-hour discussion every once a month. I will say, if CAC is taking this over in the future, and CAC's going to own it, I know the way KAAC runs it. KAAC has a subcommittee. The commission itself has a subcommittee that plans events. The commission itself has a subcommittee that fundraises for the event. So with CAC taking this over right now, we're also we're on a real short runway in terms of getting any money to pay for anything. And yeah, so CAC taking this over at this stage, it presents a couple problems, but we just need to, and just know that we need to meet more than once a month. We're gonna have to meet more frequently.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that update. And let us know. And Commissioner Ramsdale, thank you for your willingness to be able to support
Definitely.
us. Let me know, can you post, like, I'll be there physically in person, day of, and execution for day of, and then just let me know the meeting cadence and I'll be able to determine how I could support and assist as well. And again, as Stacy has shared, CAC is owning this event. This is CAC's event that we are doing. So again, really looking forward to seeing commissioners physically present, representation and visual representation of CAC throughout the event and room. So thank you. And I see a question from Commissioner Davis. No, this has been some processing, again, tied to the intent of the commission, to be more visible, to be more engaged. We still have our partners and collaborators, but really making this a CAC event has been the conversation and the direction forward. And as Stacey said, we have the benefit of having some dollars right now, but if this is going to be ongoing, which makes sense, we're the Kansas African American Affairs Commission, talk about Black Legislative Day. We should be leading it, but keeping in mind that this year we have funds to do so, but we have to be mindful when preparing for, if we're going to lead it and own it in future years and make this a standard of how the commission shows up, then we have to set that foundation as we prepare not only for this year, but for next year as well and ongoing. So that would also be our work as we are planning and organizing and supporting Stacy. And also preparing for future events and setting that foundation now as we do this year's event. So did that answer your question, Commissioner Davis? Okay, thank you. Stacey, any other thoughts or anything else that you want to leave with us right now in this meeting regarding the legislative day?
Yep.
Okay, there is something that is not, I just realized is not on here that wanted to touch on because it was a part of the attachment. And that was the conversation about our fundraising ask and offers in the document that was sent to Frame when we're asked for funding, how to look at it. So we didn't add on, and I didn't catch that on the agenda, but it was a part of the packet where there was Commissioners Davis, each Commissioner Davis and I, Trent Davis and Crystal Davis, worked to craft a document to help us. One of the previous issues that we talked about is not having a standard with when we're asked for sponsorships or we're asked for support, financial support from other organizations. What is our standard in granting or not granting that? So there was work by the commission, by members of the commission, to put a framing to that was sent out to everyone for review. I don't think we have any current ask the asks that had been made, those events have passed and the deadlines have passed for that. And then we don't have quorum either right now. So just a reminder to take a look at that, process through that. And Stacey, we can add that to next month's agenda to talk through and see if there's any additional feedback. Okay. So our final matter under our new business is the invitation that we received to attend the Kansas African American Affairs teaching the museum's Trailblazer Watch Party on the 15th. That's going to be taking place in person here in Wichita, but it's going to be aired across the state on various stations and platforms. We have, because this is one that we were able to sponsor, so we are a co-sponsor of this event. And with that, we do have, I believe it was 2 tickets available for attendance. I will be going, still leaving another ticket available if anyone is interested or willing to travel to Wichita to attend this Saturday. I don't make assumptions. Is there anyone who's interested and able to join me tomorrow? Okay. Okay. Stacey, with that second ticket, I don't know if it's a wasted or if I can invite somebody from the community so it's not just wasted. You can let me know what that looks like, or I'll just go. I mean, I don't know how that works. I don't think we have like a physical ticket.
Because they made it sound like it's 2 tickets. I forwarded that email to you. It just came in today. So, I mean, I would say feel free to reach out. I would assume it's like a +1. So if you invited someone from the community, that would be fine. That would be my assumption. Of course, you know what they say about assumptions. So I would reach out to them directly,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any announcements? Stacey, do you want to ask some things highlighted here?
Well, as always, I mean that the KAAAC monthly meeting from December of 2024 actually is probably worth a watch, because she actually goes over in great detail the ins and outs of the travel policy in a way that's a little more lively than reading the link that I put there, which I've done. And then, yes, as always, there's the call for personal stories. And then the Black Legislative Day is February 9th.
Okay. All right. Are there any other announcements or questions or anything for the good of the body? All right. Well, Stacey, thank you for all of your hard work and moving us forward and the updates. Thank you to each of our commissioners for being present and with us. And I will see you all next month or via other communications throughout the month. Okay. Take care.